Are we on? We're on? We're good? Hi, good morning. Thanks for joining, or good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I guess it depends where you are in the world. Um, Thanks for joining us for the latest Facebook Live showroom event. I think it's the 10th one? 10th? 11th? 11th. Wow. First, I'd like to thank Sylvia for filling in for me the past couple of weeks. That was awesome. My name is Mark. I'm going to take you on this little journey through some settings and bales and things. We are obviously, if you're logged in and you're watching us, you know who we are, SilviaFindings, your premier supplier for sterling silver findings, uh, pendants, rings, bales, clasps, jump rings, chain, finished or in bulk, you name it, we've got it. Um, I want to talk about a couple of things this morning. First, before I get started on the pendants, and I've got some really cool ones to show you. Just a little update on the shipping situation, postage situation. Uh, it's getting better a little bit, but I guess it depends where you are. We've had shipments we've mailed to Australia that are taking as little as 2 weeks to get there, which is amazing. But we've also had shipments to Great Britain, which you would think would be easier because it's just across the Atlantic. I realize it has to get across the country first, but um, no, those are taking 60 days or more. I think when um, the recommended, or not the recommended, but the possible shipping days when you schedule a shipment to buy postage, they say anywhere from 5 to 75 days, which seems like an incredible amount of time considering it's 2020, not 1820. But this is where we are. I think some countries just have way more strict um, quarantine issues, like if they get a package from somewhere, and unfortunately when we ship internationally, a lot of that goes to California first, and I think that the problem is that because the US is so messed up right now with their coronavirus handling, packages that come to other countries that have passed through the US end up sitting for 2 weeks in quarantine somewhere. I don't know why, but that just seems to be the case right now. We do have upgradable service to DHL, which if you're watching this anywhere, or even domestically, I guess, but anywhere, it's such an awesome deal. I realize that if you're buying one pendant for $11 or $12, it may not make sense to add $25 worth of shipping. Um, but we've had a couple shipments now. A customer in Germany has ordered a couple times, and you know she spends a couple $100s at a time, so maybe it makes more sense. But for um, $40, no, $36, 36.50 was the thing. So like $40. Um, we shipped it on a Monday, and she got it on the Thursday. So that was like crazy. That was awesome in Germany. Um, so that's that. If you're bulking, stocking up on a bunch of stuff, and it makes it worth it. I think anything that, especially for precious metals, 10% of your cost, if that's shipping, is totally worth it. So into the States, whereas right now, if we're shipping from here to say Florida, you might look at I don't know, 7 to 10 days. Just using regular post, but if you upgrade to that DHL rate for $25, it's only $25 into the States. It's $40 into Europe, but for $25, that'll get there literally the next day or the next day after that. So like 1 to 2 days, which to me is kind of, it's a peace of mind thing, because the shipments are obviously they're tracked, but and I don't know how to say this without being indelicate, but I just trust a company like DHL way more than I trust the Postal Service these days. Domestically in Canada, we're just basically screwed. There's really no good way to ship unless you pay for the upgraded shipping. But Canada Post is just consistently bad. And I know that there's lots of reasons. Infrastructure is just built on sugar cubes, and obviously the coronavirus caused a little bit of rain, so the infrastructure broke down pretty easily, and there are massive backlogs everywhere. The shipping company that we use, Chit Chats, I know that they also had a lot of issues clearing stuff through their system, but they're getting stuff in and out of their system into the Canada Post system pretty quickly, within a day or two. Whereas in the bulk of it, in the heat of it, when it was really bad, you were looking at more like a week or something. But they're doing a lot better now. So they're not the problem. The problem is that once it gets into the Canada Post system, it's taking ridiculously long to get stuff. Stuff shipping to Ontario easily 14 days, 20 days, something like that. Which is kind of mind-boggling to me, seeing as we're ostensibly in a first-world country. And again, it is 2020, not 1920. But here we are. It is what it is. So if you order your stuff and you just want to pay the least amount of shipping, happy to ship stuff regular post. Just understand that you got to be patient because it's going to take a while, especially if it's international. It's just the world that we live in right now. I guess companies like DHL, FedEx, those courier companies, I don't know, maybe they have giant UV rooms where they put the packages in for 90 minutes and zap it and, send it along its way. I don't know how they're able to do it so quickly, but they are. So we're kind of enjoying that upgrade available. The reason why we do these live streams is obviously because of the current state of affairs with the COVID-19. All the shows that we normally do during the summer, and we do like 20-something shows a year, so we're, every other weekend at least usually. And during the summer, there are some months where we, do them every weekend. So we get to see the customers a lot more often. They get to, feel up the merchandise and come and look at stuff. And we get to chat, and it's nice to see people. And if you're at a show that I'm at, when I'm at a show, we set stones for free at the show. And that's great. It's just awesome to be there with the customers, and we miss you guys. So we thought we would do these little live streams to show you new products, reintroduce you to old products, and just get a general sense of where we are, where we're going. As I mentioned, despite my belly aching about the shipping situation, we do ship stuff every day, and people get stuff every day. But it would be nice to see more people. And I know that, Canada, we're doing great as far as thing. I know in BC, there's very few new cases left, and there's very few people still hospitalized. So I think slowly but surely, we're reopening a lot more. I don't think bars and restaurants are open. Yeah, although I'm not sure because I don't normally go out to many bars or restaurants. So I don't know for sure if those are starting to reopen yet. But, the stores I normally go to, which are all the essential ones, grocery stores, gas stations, those are all, fine. And we are accepting limited capacity. Customers want to come in to the showroom. You're welcome to do that. It still has to be by appointment only because we're trying to stagger. We don't want to get lots of strangers mixing in together. But if we ship by courier, it gets held up at our Canada Customs. Hi, Marianne. Sorry, I just read your thing. I'm not sure I understand. If you ship within Canada by courier, you shouldn't get stuff stuck by customs. Um, and the most you should be paying for customs, because a harmonized system of tariffs, depending where you are, but into the States, the HST code that we use should only be 5%. So, yeah, if you pay, but if you, order something over $300 anyway, you're going to get dinged for customs. Um, uh, when we ship stuff, it doesn't go through customs here. It goes through customs in your home country. I guess I don't know where you are. Sorry, Marianne. Where are you from? What country are you from? Uh, and if you're in the U.S., um, usually that they'll just pass stuff through customs, and then you might get a bill from the courier later. Thing. And again, uh, the duties that you should be paying shouldn't be more than 5%. Um, Now, I'm not sure what that is in every country. Other countries might be more. Maybe some countries in South America that export silver might have some protective tariffs and stuff on that. But I don't think, I'm pretty sure. Oh, uh, you're in Alberta. Yeah, you're not going to pay Canada Customs. We're in BC. Hi, neighbor. Nice to see you. Yeah, so the bigger problem shipping to Alberta is that normally a year ago, before all this end of the world craziness started happening, we'd ship stuff to Alberta. I'd ship it on a Monday, and people would get it like Wednesday or Thursday. Now it might be a week ago Thursday, or a week later Thursday. It might be 10 days to 12 days instead. Um, yeah, one customer. We're in mainland. I think just pretty much a suburb of Vancouver in Richmond here, and we have a customer on the Vancouver Island. We have many customers on there, but one customer just shipped last week. I shipped that on Wednesday. No, I wasn't here Wednesday. Must have been the day before, Tuesday. And when I looked on Monday, she still hadn't got it yet. I haven't checked it. I should check again. So it is what it is, we live with the thing. No, so we're not in the States. Although for the regular post shipments that we do ship into the States, if you are in the States and now all of a sudden you're worried about customs, if you ship regular post, we use a service called Chit Chats, and what they do, it's an awesome service. It costs us 85 cents a box, and we print U.S. Postal Service labels. We buy the postage and we print the labels. It goes right on the box. And the return address is in Blaine, Washington, which is just across the border. And the Chit Chats company, they pile up all the packages and they drive them across the border, and then they mail them from Blaine, from Washington State. So, it takes an extra day. But then it goes right into the U.S. Postal Service system. It never actually goes into Canada Post. And shipments under $300, if it's over $300, they'll always ask to have an invoice, stuck to the outside of the box or something, so it can go through customs. But under $300, they never ask. So to me, it seems like if I ship an order under $300, it doesn't even go through customs. It just goes in the post, and then you'll get it, and everything will be hunky dory. So, and the nice thing about U.S. Postal Service is regular first class parcel mail is all tracked. So there's tracking, So, and unlike Canada Post, I feel like I'm really digging on Canada Post today. So sorry, Canada Post, we love you, really. Not really. Uh, When you ship a parcel, when you print the postage label, it has a barcode on it, goes right in there. And you can see it gets scanned when they pick it up at the thing. Every time it gets scanned, you can see the tracking information. So if it goes onto a truck in Blaine, you know, you can see that scan, and that ultimately it ends up Kent, Washington, I think, is the next sorting center. It goes there. You can see when it's scanned into there, and you can see when it's scanned out of there. It gets on a truck to wherever the next place is, and you know, um, so that's nice to be able to, a little bit of peace of mind to be able to see even, you know, with the regular post, which and the nice thing, we have a flat rate. We only charge $8 for shipping into the States, $8 Canadian, which ends up being like $6 and something, 6.50 something Canadian, I guess depending on the exchange rate that day. So it's a good, inexpensive service. And you know, a huge percent of our, you know, business is shipping into the States. So we love you guys. Keep sending us your orders. Um, One thing about the stream in general, if you share, like and share the stream, we have a free gift for you. One of these polishing cloths. These are awesome. Chamois material with infused with a chemical that deoxidizes or removes oxidation from your silver or gold or whatever. Um, you can keep using this until it turns completely black. Don't wash it, because as soon as you wash it, all of the chemical that helps to deoxidize the silver will be washed out of it. And it'll just be a chamois, which I guess is fine for uh, cleaning up dust and stuff, but it won't easily remove the oxidation. Just got to keep that. And you can keep using it until it turns completely black, and then just buy another one, because they're pretty inexpensive. And if you share this thing, it'll be free. So how cool is that? And we'll know when you share it, and then we could track you down and get your address and send you one of those things. Let me talk this morning a little bit about some findings. I don't know if we say findings is kind of a generic term, you know, that means anything used for fixing or fixing in jewelry. So it could be anything from an end cap that you glue onto a piece of leather, or that you crimp onto a piece of leather, to a real fabulous pendant that's just ready for stones to be set in it, and or bales thing. And I'm going to talk about a few of those things. First, I want to talk about pearl pendants. We have a huge line of pearl pendants. I'm going to show you some awesome ones, some plain ones, some extravagant ones. We have something for basically every thing. And one, I'm going to show you something that's, well, I'm not going to show you. I'm going to show you later as we go along, because I want you to get a flavor of the different kinds of styles that we have. But I'm going to show you one of our best sellers of those pearl findings, pearl settings. That surprises me, because it's kind of plain, and I would have thought that something more extravagant would be, you know, the bigger one, because when you talk pearls, they're so elegant, right? You know, and just about any piece of jewelry that you add pearls to gives it a bit of gravitas, a little bit more credibility, I guess. Depending, unless you're one of those people who was like, oh, diamonds or nothing, you know. But pearl pendants are basically pendant that has a post, usually. Sometimes there's a thread on the post. Sometimes it's just a post. Usually the posts are longer than you need them to be, and what you would do is measure your the width of your pearl, and usually the pearls that you're going to use on these kind of things are what they call half drilled. You know, there's a hole in only one side. You know, which if you're going to buy one of these pendants, you kind of already know that. Although you could use, you know, maybe a ball head pin and a cute little bead cap. If you had a pearl that had a hole all the way through it, you know, you could glue one end on the thing and glue the little head pin with the bead cap on the other end. So you have a nice little pearl with a cute little design on the front. But let me just show you this here. What was that other one? That. Yeah. Okay. So this is the basic, you know, premise of a pearl setting. It's just a, you know, cute little pendant setting, a little bail. but it's got a post, and you can see that post there, right? That post now, I mean, obviously this post is, let me just bend this a little bit more straight. It's probably a little bit longer than you would need for the size of the pearl that would fit beautifully in this. Is probably best for like a 6 or an 8 millimeter pearl. Um, so what you would do is measure the width of your pearl, divide that in half, and you would cut the post down to be about that length. You need to use a good, you can find a product that's being sold as pearl cement. I like a good two-part epoxy, the kind that dries clear. You can mix up just a little bit, as much as you need, and use that a little bit on the, the post. Slide the pearl on there and let it set overnight. And then you've got just an awesome piece of jewelry with that thing. So this is a kind of an ivy leaves sort of thing with a bunch of, every other leaf is bedazzled with some cubic zirconias, pave style. So that's a really awesome one. We've got other ones. Another very cool one. That's probably more for like an 8 or 10 millimeter pearl, right? Nice 3D rings sort of thing. And that big long post, and you can cut down to that length. The nice thing about doing that is, you can cut the post down to the length that you think is right, and then, slide your pearl on, and if your pearl stops before it gets to the bottom of the setting, then you can just snip a little bit and a little hair off and just keep doing that until you get the right height of that post, because ideally the pearl should be drilled about halfway through. That's kind of why they're called half-drilled pearls, only because they're drilled sort of halfway through. But sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're a little shallower. Sometimes they're a little deeper. And obviously, the more post you have in the pearl gripping on with the glue, the better. And there's really no other way to do it besides gluing them. Here's a beautiful, delicate sort of ivy shape with a little cute little cubic zirconia in there. I love that one. Right. And there's a clover leaf. Is autofocus working? Yeah, great. Right, so they all got the same basic concept, where there's this little seat in there in the middle, or whatever, could be on the side, could be anywhere, but it's basically a seat with a cup. Usually it's a cup with the post sticking out of it. The size of the pearl doesn't have to be exactly ones. Normally in the descriptions of these on the websites, you'll see it'll say something like, for pearls, ideally between 6 and 8 millimeter, or 6 or 10 millimeter. Some are even bigger ranges than that sort of thing. Some, I don't know that I have a sample here to show you. Oh yeah, I do. Some are made specifically for maybe teardrop pearls that glue up inside there, anything. And I'm going to show you a couple of other things when I get into the bales that are more Bailey, not so much pendanty. Here's one. Awesome. Classic. Gorgeous. Almost Art Deco style with the baguette stones. There's pairs of baguettes here on the. Those aren't really the cardinal points. Those are the anti-cardinal points. Is that what they're called? The north, northwest, southeast. Whereas the north, south, east, and west are just these cute little chevrons, almost fleur-de-lis. Uh, so this one, because it's a solid, back inside, you could get away with something as small as like maybe a 4 or 6 millimeter up to probably 10 or 12 millimeter if you wanted to completely cover, the whole silver background. The nice thing with this kind of a setting, using a smaller stone or a smaller pearl. Sorry, let me get a little closer than that. Is that going to focus? Yeah. Using a smaller pearl in that is that along the outer ridge of that thing, if the pearl is not doesn't cover that, is you'll still get the reflection of the pearl in the silver and the reflection of the silver in the pearl, and it's a pretty cool border effects, and the way the light bounces off pearls as it passes through the different layers of nacre and comes back out, and that gives you that illusion of depth in the thing, and it gets magnified in this kind of a setting. So that's a really cool perk of having the solid background. Was that more information than you needed to know? Probably. Is there such a thing as having too much information? I don't think so. Here's one of the more almost psychedelic. God, I love these sinuous lines. Very three-dimensional. Awesome setting. Nice big with an incorporated bail, so you could put that's pretty good size. You could put any size chain in that pretty much. And again, it's got a nice decorative seat there in the middle for that thing. For your pearls. So boy, you can get away with another huge range of pearl sizes in this. One of the nicest things about these pearl settings, the other settings, the other pendants, the stone settings. If we have a 9 by 12 setting, you pretty much have to have a 9 by 12 stone to fit in that setting, because it's gotta it's gotta fit. If you don't have the right size stone, you won't be able to get it to the stone to fall all the way down into the seat, or there'll be too much room for the prongs to move to meet the stone, so you end up with these gaps and it looks weird. But with these pearl settings are so versatile, because you can it's hard to find pearls that are exactly, say, 6 millimeter. Let me quantify that. It's hard to find natural pearls that are exactly, say, 6 millimeter. Simulated pearls, obviously, you can get them exactly the size. Swarovski makes some great simulated pearls that have a crystal core that are really nice. They have good weight to them. They feel like pearls, and I'm not sure of the proprietary system that they use to get the layers of nacre on there to simulate the pearls, but it's really good. And they have them with holes all the way through, or half drill too. So my point is, those kind of things you can get exactly 6 millimeter or 8 millimeter, but natural pearls grow inside, mollusk. They grow inside the oyster, and it's normally cultured pearls. The way they make them is you have your oysters, and you stick in with a pair of tweezers a little blank, a little piece of glass, a little something, and you put that inside the oyster, and then you put it in a net, and you stick it in your local pond or your bay or wherever, and you let it hang out there for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. And what the oyster does is it puts scar tissue on the outside of that. Originally it was like grains of sand. That's why the really old pearls that you see, are kind of uneven and weird shaped. Whereas the new pearls they can be really perfectly round. I think Mikimoto is the one who perfected that technique of injecting or placing a little core something. And I know there's a word for it, and my ex-wife is going to kill me because she's a pearl expert and I can't remember the name, but there's a name for something that you put inside, and you can get all kinds of different shapes. They have weird cornflake shaped pearls and stick pearls and things, so whatever you stick inside the pearl, that's the base shape that it begins to build around. And what the oyster does is it places layers and layers and layers on top of layers of scar tissue on the outside of whatever that irritant is, and that's how the pearl is formed. So My point is, or was, before I got off on this train of thought, is that very difficult to find exactly X sized pearls. Like if you want a 6 millimeter pearl, they can probably guess depending on, local environmental factors. If I put a 4 millimeter blank in there, it'll take 6 weeks or 6 months. I have no idea how long it would take, but they're probably pretty good at guessing how long it would take to get a 6 millimeter pearl out of there. I think so. You can get pretty close, but depending on so many things, how polluted the pond is, or how what kind of weather they're having that month. It could change all those factors. How brackish the water is, if there's near the ocean, and salt water, fresh water mixes. Those kind of things can change how quickly or how beautifully a pearl grows. Anyway, neither here nor there. You're looking at this thing for way too long. So my point again was natural pearls, really hard to find an exact size. And with these kind of settings, you really don't need them to be exactly the size, because you can always, have a good range of sizes. I think there might be one or two where, the seed has to be exactly right. But for the most part, generally, I love this kind of oval leaf shape, not really a leaf. I don't know what you call that. Teardrop, twisted teardrop. Again, very three-dimensional, lovely pave style, which is nothing like a little, bling to bring out the beautiful nacre of a pearl. Golly, I look at that and I think, how long does it take to set all those stones in there? What a pain. Better them than me, though. Here's another really cute pearl setting. Again, probably 8 millimeter, 10 millimeter pearl would fit in there beautifully. The bail is a lovely heart, stylized heart facing the other direction. Good sized bail. You can get some pretty good chains in there. Again, gorgeous seat. Lovely channel. I think that's bead and bright cut, looks like. Although obviously the beading around the side is cast, and it's probably not bright. It's probably cast with the posts already in place, and they're just the stones are set, and then there's a little awl kind of thing that pushes down those things to hold the stones in place. God, casting is just so much better than fabrication. I remember from my stone setting classes how annoying that was. Price. Oh, I'm supposed to be talking about price. Okay, I'll go back one. This one here, well, you can see the price right there. $17.67. That were all the stones. Was, I think, the most expensive one that I showed you was probably that one so far. I think you looked at that for a long time, so you must have seen that. $37.44. These are kind of the things that once you get a pearl in there, boy, that's an heirloom. It's kind of a family heirloom thing. This is when I'm going to show you a couple that are kind of similar to this, only similar in that there are no CZs, it's just a casting. Beautiful plumeria flower with that post inside. Again, this, boy, you can get away with something as small as a nice little 4 millimeter pearl on that, all the way up to probably 8 or 10 millimeters. Obviously it'll stick out more if it's a big 10 or 12 millimeter pearl, but you can definitely get that on there. I guess it depends on how much you want to say, look at this beautiful pendant I have with a pearl inside, or it's like, holy crap, look at that pearl in the pendant. Right, so I love this. Has a nice little bail incorporated into the design. Nice big wide bail. You can get some really awesome size chains in here. This is only $12.47. That's the retail price, obviously. I've just been giving you the wholesale price is $7.86 on that one. And right, we all know the difference between the wholesale and retail prices. Retail prices are just the price if you're just spending under $150. But if your order is $150 or more at the wholesale level, then you can get these at the wholesale price. And there's not a specific discount. Although I feel like it's anywhere from 25 to 32%, 33%. I don't know. It seems something like that. But don't hold any of those specific amounts as gospel, because again, it depends on the item. Some things are just way more labor intensive to build. So the differences might be a little bit smaller between the retail and the wholesale. Just love the simplicity of this little flower thing, this bale hanging down there. Again, good for like a 4, maybe a 6mm pearl. $8.51. And the wholesale $6.38. Available to ship now. Oh, this one. Here's another gorgeous one. This looks like the kind of thing I would have spent 6 or 8 hours fabricating. And when you think of how much jewelers charge, for their bench time, it runs into some pretty expensive things. But I love how these the petals on the flower is very three-dimensional. Yeah, just gorgeous and simple. Put a great big pearl in the middle of that. God, just gorgeous. $17.25 is the retail price. $10.78 is the wholesale price. I'm going to show you one more. Also, right. Don't forget, any orders that you place during the event, you get free shipping. So, but not expedited shipping. Free regular shipping. If you want expedited, we'll work out a difference between the one and the other. So I love this clamshell, giant clamshell, right? Three-dimensional. Nice big pearl in there. That's kind of a classic one. This is the kind of thing you expect to see, at a gift shop in Maui or something for $60 or something, with a little local pearl there, ugly pearl that you could probably get for $1 or $2. But you could buy a beautiful pearl from somewhere and glue it right on there for only $16.29. Very cute. The one I wanted to show you that surprisingly, this one is one of our best sellers of these pearl findings. It's we have 2 versions of that. One with some cubic zirconia stuck in between the lily pads, which I'm assuming they're lily pads. They look like lily pads to me. Again, very three-dimensional, great size post in there. The one with the stones is $25.93, and the one without the stones is $21.65. Again, just really classic. Who doesn't love lily pads? I guess to me, I always think of lily pads that there should be a frog on there, but I guess a pearl is cuter than a frog. Yeah, surprising. I guess I'm more of the blingy kind of person. Here's another one that has that same effect. It's nice, again, three-dimensional, and kind of a stylized money bag, I guess, or something, or I'm not sure what that's meant to be evocative of, but it looks like that with a nice little thing. But again, the cool thing about it is this, this cup on the inside. Um, you get and you can, God, how big is that? You could probably fit a 14 or 16 millimeter pearl there, like a massive, giant pearl in there. But you could also get away with an 8 or 10 millimeter pearl in there, and you get some really awesome reflections around the inside edge of that cup when the light hits it right. And you get some pretty cool colors because the nacre on most natural pearls, obviously, they're pretty rarely white. But even the ones that are white, when the light reflects through them, you get some pretty strange colors that either get filtered out. So the color of the reflections may not be the same as the color of the pearl. You get some pretty cool effects, doing that. Don't ask me why I know that. It's just, I don't know, years of practice. Again, this one's $31.20 retail price, and $19.50 is wholesale price. I just love that one. I'm going to show you a couple of new ones that we just got. That they're not actually on the website yet, but they will be soon. I'm going to step up and do these. So this one, we've got a couple of other pendants that have these kind of animal motifs with the CZ pave effect sort of thing. But I just love this fox with the pearl seat, wrapped around his tail wrapped around the little pearl seat. God, just imagine that with a little pearl in there. You can get away with a 4 millimeter, maybe a 6 millimeter pearl in there. Just, gorgeous. Love that one. $17.25. $10.78 is the wholesale price. I got another one. This one, I think, is my favorite of the new ones, just because I'm a sucker for dragons. So here's a dragon. Maybe it could be a seahorse if you're so inclined, but to me it looks like a dragon. Just love that. Very simple, very plain. Well, I guess not very plain, but very simple dragon motif with a little pearl in there. We have something for everyone. Doesn't matter whether you're into high fashion or kind of Dungeons and Dragons chic, if there is such a thing. We got it. We got something for you. This one again
It's a chicken.
is a dragon. Yeah, it's a dragon. Yeah. So $12.71. The wholesale price is only $7.94. So if you got a bunch of pearls lying around, have a look at the website, or if you've seen anything here that you'd like me to go back and show you again, let me know, because I feel like sometimes these pearl findings, these pearl settings, are kind of somewhat overlooked, and again, like I said before, you can also use them for semi-precious stones. You could maybe glue get like a ball head pin and snip that down so it's only a millimeter or two long. Well, you probably need more, like 2 or 3 millimeters long, depending on how big the stone is. But put a cute little flowery bead cap. We have lots of little tiny, cute little flowery bead caps that you could glue to one side and then glue the other side onto the setting, and you've got an amazing little pendant for a semi-precious stone that doesn't need prongs on there. And gosh, so many people have beads, semi-precious beads. You buy a 16-inch strand of labradorite or something, or azurite malachite or something gorgeous, and you make some earrings, you make a necklace. You maybe have a couple of beads left over, maybe you have one bead left over, maybe the string didn't go through properly, or you didn't maybe it made it uneven, and you're like me, and if there was 26 beads on one side and 25 beads on the other, you wouldn't be able to sleep at night. So you take that one extra bead out. Everybody has beads lying around. You could totally use, beads for these kind of things. Just beware that obviously the side that's facing you there'll be a hole there, but that's again very easily decoratable to decorate that with a head pin and a bead cap, or just a head pin, just to put a little silver dot on there, a little silver dot on the front. Um, Make it look like you were some crazy jewelry fabricator who managed to think of a way to get a head pin through there. It's not focusing. There we go. So this gorgeous little teardrop one with the middle. $14.58 is the retail price, and $9.11 are the wholesale price. And I'm gonna come back to some right now this. Yay! I'm gonna come back to some new findings in a minute, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about some bales and what they are, what they mean, what it means to have a bale, and how bales are different to each other, because not all bales are the same. I guess the easiest way to segue into this is just to show you some very simple ones that, let me do this, that. Here's a simple one that has a pearl thing, right? So there's a lovely bale. This one hinges open. Let me see if I can get one out of the bag. Show you how it works. Um, this one has a latch on it. Doink. Right. Well, focus is going to compete with the background there. So that, you can just hook that onto your chain or thing or whatever, snap that closed, dangle a little pearl or something off there, and golly, and then just take it off the necklace when you don't want. You can just use these interchangeably. This awesome little bale is $10.71. $7.14 is the wholesale price, and again, it works the same way. This one has a little bit of a thread on it, so when you're putting the pearl on there, you can just kind of twist it as you go. Make that sit all the way down on the bottom. Gorgeous. It's just a real classic, real simple, very clean sort of pendant. This is your bail. This is the pendant. It's more like a, not so much hey, look at this cool pendant I've got, as much as it's look at this cool pearl I've got. And yeah, it's using this beautiful sterling bail to connect to my chain that I use it for. You have one of these for every day of the week. Different pendants, different beads on there. Don't get me started. It's just an idea. So we have these kind of things in, I don't know, very plain, like that other bale, to more decorative. This is a bead cap kind of a thing with some cubic zirconia snowflakes. Lovely big wide, I'm going to use the word bale to put the chain through. And again, another post. Gorgeous little post. Here's one that I love. This is actually based on, we have um, a pendant that has this same concept. This just has you know, a, a post, a cup and a peg thing hanging from there. But we have one that has uh, like a round prong setting for like a 10 millimeter pearl or something. But I just love this jaguar head with the green cubic zirconia eyeballs. I don't want to call them emeralds because that would be wrong, but they're emerald colored cubic zirconias. Love this pave style. And the chain goes through the ears, right? Super clever. This one is $26.19 is a regular price, and $17.46 the wholesale price. Again, more very classic, very plain, you know, nice big bale there for, gosh, I can't think of a chain that you wouldn't be able to get through that except for maybe some handmade chains that are like super wide. But you wouldn't want to be using that for this kind of a chain. Again, very simple cap and peg, or cup and peg. Again, obviously this probably longer than you need unless you're putting a massive pearl down there, giant pearl, which you can get away with because the bale is pretty good size. Anyway, this is only $11.79. $7.86 is the wholesale price of this one. I just love these things. So that's kind of a good segue into the pearl bales instead of the pearl pendants. Right, here's another bale, just a cute little knot, I guess, kind of a ribbon knot thing with a cup and peg that dangles. Again, very simple. Just glue that pearl in there and bang, stick it on a chain. Awesome piece of heirloom jewelry. $5.94. What? That can't be right. It's too cheap. We'll probably up the price before you order it, I think. No, just kidding. But that does seem low. $5.94 with all these cubic zirconias in there. No, it's because our prices are too good. We're the factory. There's nobody between us and where it gets made. So that's why our prices always seem too good to be true. Okay, let me just show you one difference between bales. Again, bales are kind of the concept of bale is just something that holds on to stone. Maybe it's got some holes drilled through the front and back, or they're drilled through sideways, and that makes a difference on how you're going to buy the bales. Because like this one, if you can imagine the chain going through this way, um, these pinch from the side. These are called pinch bales, obviously. They pinch from the side. The posts go into the thing, so you would need to have a stone, or I don't know, it could be anything, ceramic, a piece of wood, or whatever, where the holes are drilled through the side of the piece. So the front would be perpendicular to the plane of the holes. Um, Sometimes, if it's like a teardrop shape or a briolette shaped stone, it'll make a difference if the hole is drilled through the front and the back of the stone, or drilled all the way through the stone. It just makes a difference how you have to think, because otherwise the stone would hang sideways, which would look dumb. So just be mindful of that when you're looking through that. And I think most of the bales on the website, it'll say front to back or side to side. Although I think we have way more front to back bales than we have side to side bales. Side to side bales are definitely available. So just be mindful of that. So you can see the price. This one, cute little one, is $6.90. $4.14 is the wholesale price. Good size bale. This is pretty big throat opening for the size of the stone. So I don't know. You can put my thumb in there so you can see that's, I don't know, measurement wise, you could probably get away with something that's I don't know, 12 or 14 millimeters thick. Although most of the time pendants are not going to be that thick. But you could probably stretch this open to reach something that wide. Although if it's sideways, yeah, that makes more sense. This is something a little more classical, right? So here's the bale. Very stylish, simple bale, and the pinch part of the thing. You see how those two come together, front to back, right? So if you had a pendant, maybe a disc, or a shape, a ceramic shape, or could be a coin that you had that you drilled a hole through one side. These pinch bales again, same idea as the cup and the pegs. Um, if you have a width where your piece is 6 millimeters wide, right? You would divide that in half, and you'd cut um, those two pinch things, right, to just a hair less than 3 millimeters, because you want them to have like half a millimeter of a gap between them inside once you pinch the bales closed. You don't really want them to meet each other in the center of the hole because then you won't ever be able to get the pinch bale closed all the way where the front and the back of this piece ends up right up against the stone or your thing or whatever. Um, so again, very simple. Just cut that to the size you need, squeeze that closed, and people often worry like, oh, but it doesn't look like there's very much room. It's only 3 or 4 millimeters of wire, and yes, there is, but I'm gonna do this here. Trust me, the physics of this are uh, universal. The distance or the all of the weight on this pinch bale is going to be perpendicular to the hole. So there's almost no way you would be able to pull the stone out because you have a peg going in one side and a peg going in the other. Any weight that gets pulled down against the piece is going to pull those things down like this, and one side of the pinch of the post will be pushed up against one side of the hole, and the other side of the bale will be pushed down against the other side of the hole, and that'll happen on both sides. And the force that you would need to be able to pull that all the way out to the point where the pieces separate and pull apart is probably more than you would need to break the actual stone. So um, security for these kind of pinch bales is not an option. I promise you can walk into any fine jewelry store that has jewelry that with these kinds of things and have a look at them. Maybe they don't put glue inside them. They don't do extra work. If you do it correctly and you have um, that little tiny quarter millimeter, half millimeter gap between where the two posts meet inside, and you push those pegs in, I promise you don't have to take my word for it. It's just years of experience. Um, the stones can't come out. The only way a stone can come out of this is if somebody literally grabbed one side of the pinch bale and pulled it open. You would have to be able to pull one side perpendicular to the plane of the stone, which is uh, almost never happens day to day usage, wear and tear. Um, now, uh, if you're in a bar fight or if you have grasping children who grab your jewelry, that's on you because in the end it is jewelry, not gymnasium equipment. Who children grab a hold of stuff. Although if I would go so far as to say that if there were a properly set pendant in this thing, and these posts, the way they are right now, are probably 4 millimeters wide each. So if you had, you know, uh, even if you cut that down to 3 millimeters or something, if you pinched it closed correctly, um, if a baby grabbed onto the pendant and pulled on the stone, my guess is that the chain would break before the pendant would come apart, because that's the weakest link, right, where the clasp is, which is why you're not supposed to make jewelry uh, with endless chains, where you take one end of the chain and you solder it to the other end, because then if you get it caught on a car rear view mirror or something, you'll end up breaking your neck before you break the necklace. But anyway, this beautiful classic, can't go wrong with this one. $6.40 each, $4 is the wholesale price. And we have sales in just about every imaginable size, right? From great big huge ones, really tiny wide ones. If you ever have any questions about or bales, and how big you need a bale to be, how wide you need a bale to be. Um, just call and ask. Say, here my stones are X wide. The hole is X millimeters away from the edge. We'll take 10 minutes. We'll go through. We'll find, the right sizes that'll work for your piece. Um, I guess the dimensions that are most important to know are how thick the piece is and how far away the holes are from the edge, because that would determine how deep of a throat you would need to have on the bale, to be able to reach the holes. And also, you don't want to be bending the bale too far open to be able to fit the post inside there. So, if you have stones or maybe a piece of ammonite or ammonite, you know, those things, those cute little things, all the crazy colors that everybody loves from Alberta. Um, or you have a piece of slate that you found somewhere, or whatever. It doesn't matter. Something that doesn't have a hole in it is my point. We have a line of, well, come on, there we go. We have a line of bales that are glue-ons, right? So this piece, let me just take one out and show it to you, right? Show you the front and back, right? So that would glue onto the back of the piece. Or I guess you can even glue it to the front if you like that look to be on the front. Although we do have some other ones that I'll show you in a minute that are made specifically to glue onto the front. But this would just glue right onto the back of your piece with a good two-part epoxy. Let that cure overnight. I probably should have said that with the pearls. For that two-part epoxy, and this is why we don't do these things for you at shows. We do free settings for stones at shows, but we can't do these kind of things with the pearls at shows because for these epoxies and stuff, they'll be dry-ish within, an hour, maybe even less, 10, 20 minutes, some of them, the quick drying ones. But they won't have cured for like 24 hours, and you really have to wait for the epoxy to cure, which just means that, it'll be dry. Like when you're painting, latex paint, it'll be dry to the touch in an hour or two, depending how thick of a coat you put on there. But you know that you really can't touch it until the next day when the paint, hardens. There's a difference between the epoxy drying and the epoxy hardening, and it really takes 24 hours or more for the epoxy to cure and become hard. So you just set that on there, let that cure overnight, and instant pendant on anything. Again, this is one of our most popular glue-on bales. $8.34 per piece is the retail price. And we have some of these that are bigger, some are smaller. Here's a smaller version of that same thing. $6.25. $4.57 is the wholesale price. But a bigger giant one, monster version of that, or 89 and $5.56 is the wholesale price. Here's a cute, simple, round one. That coarse texture is there to help the epoxy, glue onto the thing. The other side will just be a round circle on that right there. And we've got some other ones that I think are just awesome, like these. Right, you can glue that onto the front or the back of your piece. I just love that. If you have a nice, a real simple cabochon or a little simple, disc that doesn't have a lot of texture, a lot of, I think maybe it has some kind of, I don't know, emotional significance to you, nostalgia, whatever. you can glue that on the front, and you know, the bail makes the piece, you know, way more interesting if it's a real simple stone, right? So God, I love that. So that's $9.93, and there's a whole regular price. $6.21 is the wholesale price of those. These are all Canadian dollars, right? I probably should have mentioned that before. Here's another gorgeous, nice three-dimensional kind of rose, flat, obviously on the back for the, you know, to be able to glue it to the whatever. Now that stick that on the front of a, you know, a nice plain, oh, I don't know, maybe a nice lapis piece or something. Just stunning. Love that. $15.97 is the retail price. $9.98 is the wholesale price. Glue on bales. You can't go wrong with those. And here's another one that's really, really popular. I'm blanking on the name of it. It's oh, Kangushka something, I don't know, Bushka. I'm pulling that totally out of my brain. I can't remember the name of it, but they call it something. There's these little stone men, and that's what these are. I think it was a mascot for the Vancouver Olympics, the Winter Olympics, the year we had it here. But I don't know, it's super popular. Just glue that right to the front or the back. Please, if anybody knows, you can mention it in chat. I can't remember the name of it, and I feel like a really bad Canadian for not knowing what the name of that is. But yeah, $11.54 is the retail price. $7.21 is the wholesale price. Here's another Celtic-inspired, you know, piece. It's beautiful again. The bail is centered, so this could be on the front or the back. $16.09 is the retail price. $10.05 is the wholesale price. And there's one more Celtic inspired cross. Now, again, the bail is centered, so you can glue this to the front or the back. Oh God, it would seem like a waste to put this on the back. They're just so gorgeous. $14.76 is the retail price. $9.22 is the wholesale price. And I'm just going to show you one more. I have a couple more Celtic-y ones, but I'm just going to show you this one. Oh, Canada! It's our Canadian flag one. So this, if you can make little souvenirs to send to your friends or relatives who live in other parts of the world. So look, we love Canada. Who doesn't love Canadians? $11.27 is the retail price, and $7.04 is the wholesale price. And we have a couple other funky ones that, you know, things like these that are meant to fold over. You can put a dowel or something right in between there, fold that over the, you know, the piece, and this glues onto the front and the back of the piece. A little trickier to use if you're not familiar with any kind of jewelry making, because you have to ultimately get those two pieces parallel to each other once they're pulled over a dowel. That might just take a little maneuvering, but they're super useful if you have something that you want to be the front and the back to be interchangeable. Can't go wrong with these. $15.50 is the retail price, and $9.69 is the wholesale price. Okay, I know I'm running long. I'm gonna call that quits for the bales, and I'm just gonna show you a couple of new pendants that we've got in that I just love. You know, just loving all these pave ones. Look at this. God, that's so awesome. This little cat with the pave cubic zirconias for a 10 by 12 millimeter oval stone. That's got a nice deep basket, so you can get away with a cabochon or a cut stone in there. You know, depending on the depth of the pavilion. although it probably wouldn't matter. It's got a nice big open back. You can get away with a real deep pavilion. This one is $62.81 is the retail price, and $39.26 is the wholesale price. $62. I'm just trying to think of the labor involved in setting all of those stones, because they're not cast in place, right? The casting is made and then the stones are all set. Now, because obviously you can control the casting, it's less labor intensive than if you were just doing it from scratch and drilling all the holes and making all the prongs yourself. You can cast those in, but still somebody still has to get in there and in between the intersections between all the stones, you have to get in there with a tool and push them all down. So golly, get away with that and have it only be $39 is the wholesale price. Crazy. You could pop a thing, citrine in there, or an amethyst, or even an opal cabochon in there, and God, you just put a chain on that, you could sell that for hundreds of dollars, and you wouldn't be out of line with what's going on in jewelry stores these days. Here's another oval, cute little swan, right? Look at that cubic zirconia eyeball, eye socket, with some other cubic zirconia wings there. Can I get that close enough? There we go. For a 5x7 millimeter oval, $11.23 is the retail price. $7.02 is the wholesale price. Inukshuk, thanks, Jim. Inukshuk, that guy there, that little. Oh no, I'm not gonna be able to find it. Oh yeah, here it is. So this is called, or they're called, Inukshuk, a stack of rocks in the form of a person. Oh, Intuit origin. Oh, Inuit. I'm thinking I was just doing taxes. Inuit origin. Nice. Here's another one, but I don't know. I just know that we're not going to sell millions of them, but I'm just a sucker for these real classic, almost, it's evocative of like crown jewels, maybe some Windsor kind of things, but a big like a 10x12 millimeter diamond in the middle there, or a cubic zirconia, or a white zircon, maybe a crystal quartz. But it doesn't matter. Whatever you put in there, man, that will catch people's eye. This you can get away with. The way the prongs are built, there are little tiny indentations in the inside of the prongs, so you can get away with a 10x12 millimeter with a square with pointy corners. You can get away with something that has bezeled corners, because the prongs are wide enough and in the right position, and you can just push those onto the bevels, and that'll hold your stone in there. Real good, versatile things. Nice big wide bail. And again, just I'm a sucker for those things with all the cubic zirconias in there. And I know okay, I'm going to show you one more, no, two more from this series. Another big Jaguar with a lovely frame. Look at those cubic zirconias in there. Man, it doesn't matter what you put in there. That's something that people are going to look at and say, wow. 10x13 oval, $39.27 is the retail price. $24.54 is the wholesale price. Just really impressed with all these new ones. Here's another great big one. As for a 24 millimeter round cabochon, you didn't have to be a cabochon to get in there. Although you might be able to, depending on the shape of the pavilion, maybe stretch that and put a. I don't think you'd be able to get a cut stone in there. Never mind. Cabochon with this leaping jaguar I know, right? That other piece, that Persian cat, golly, that's just killer. I love this one with this panther stalking over the stone. Imagine that with a big, beautiful, um, maybe a moonstone cab or even an opal. You never see opals this big, or rarely anyway. Um, I don't know, gosh, just any stone you put in there would just make it amazing. That is $78.69 is the retail price. $49.18 is the wholesale price. Um, and again, these are all real new ones that aren't yet up on the website, but will be soon. Will be shortly. Um, Last time Marble went to the factory, visit the factory, he said, "What do we need mostly?" And I said, "We need more rounds." And there are so many more new rounds. I'm just going to show you a couple of them. Look at this awesome pendant. And I'm just a sucker for that. Those cubic zirconias and the beading, what they call beading, that texture around the outside edge, sort of thing. That's for a 10 millimeter round stone. Uh, this you can get away with because of the way the seat is constructed. Very easily put a cabochon in there or a cut stone. There's enough three-dimensionality in that. The prongs are a good size, so even if your cabochon is a real high dome, it'll fit in there. If it's a real low dome, it's very easy to cut those down. Or if it's a cut stone. $18.90 is the retail price. Crazy price. And $11.82 is the wholesale price. Just so good. Um, Here's another one, right? That interlaced um, between the plain and the CZs with the little cubic zirconia accents um, in the corners. Beautiful 9 millimeter setting. Again, same thing. The way this seat is constructed, cabochon easily will fit in there, or a cut stone. Um, Golly, just love that. $11.84 is the retail price, and $7.40 is the wholesale price. And another one. Gorgeous, come on, focus. Okay, I guess that's close enough. Um, Lovely, flower petals kind of thing with these 4 petals with cubic zirconia in there. Gorgeous, very usable 6 millimeter stone. Who doesn't have 6 millimeter stones lying around? Right? You can get away with, again, cabochon or cut stones, the way the seats are. These are my favorite seats because they're the most versatile. You can use them for just about anything. Can't think of many things you couldn't put in there unless you have, sometimes you'll find um, opals that are super thick cabs because they don't want to make them too thin so you lose some of the flash in the color. Some of those might be tricky depending on those things, but a little bit of glue on the inside, a little epoxy on the inside, and problems are solved. This is just so usable. Um, and $11.76 is the retail price. $7.35 is the wholesale price. And okay, I know I'm going long. I'm going to try to. I'm just going to show you one more. It's not an oval, or it's not a round, but I think this is almost my favorite. I know I said that about a couple pieces, but I think this is my favorite new setting. 4 by 6 millimeter ovals. You can put 4 stones in there. There's 4 settings, for those things. Gorgeous, really three-dimensional pendant. Nice big wide bail. Um, Again, cubic zirconia bedecked there in the bail and all the way through those swooping lines. Um, God, I see so many different possibilities with this. The stones you can put inside there. Again, the seats are gorgeous, very easy to put cut stones in there or cabochons. So, golly, whatever works for you. If you have a bunch of 4 by 6 or 6 by 4 millimeter stones. We're here to hook you up. You need this pendant. Um, $26.93 is the retail price. $16.93 is the wholesale price. God, just love this. Okay, I know I'm running really long, so um, I'm just gonna finish. Did I miss anything? What did I miss? Oh, um, because I talked about the pricing, retail versus wholesale pricing. You have to excuse my pandemic hair. I haven't. I've been too afraid to schedule a haircut yet. Although I know that hair salons are open around me, so probably maybe by next week I'll be more presentable. So apologies for that. I wanted to talk about that's a Jaguar. I guess this one. That one's also a Jaguar. Um, oh. This one is a Persian cat. Very cool. Thanks, Jim. Right. Uh, One thing about that thing, I know we talk about this every broadcast, but uh, I think one of the most underutilized services that we offer here at SilviaFindings is the custom service. If you had an idea for a ring or a pendant, or you inherited a stone from your mother or your grandmother, and you walked into a jeweler and you said, "I need to make a pendant out of this." And I want it to be blah 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 blah, and then they do a little drawing and you do thing, and then they come back and maybe they have a wax carving that they've done or whatever, and then you say, okay, yes, I like it, let's go ahead, and then they cast it in silver or gold or whatever. If it's just sterling silver, you're going to pay many hundreds of dollars for this service. Three, four, $500, depending how complicated the piece is. You can get the same service done by us, and for a regular piece of a regular pendant in sterling silver, made custom for the shape and dimensions of your stones, with a 3D CAD drawing that you'll approve before we cast it. For a piece under 5 grams, you're looking at $60 Canadian. It's just mind blowing. The ability that we're able to do, because we own the factory, we are the factory, so there's no middleman between us and them. We just they have 3D designers that are working every day, making new things, recreating old things, fixing old things, changing old things. Um, uh, so they're ready. If you have an idea, you can send us a photograph or a drawing, or anything. One thing a lot of people do is they'll start with an existing pendant, like, oh, I really like this pendant, but the piece is for 11 by 13 and my stone is 14 by 16. So can you recreate this for a bigger stone? Yeah, we can do anything. We're magic. And uh, So we do that, it's sterling. We can also do it in gold. Obviously, gold, we would have to quote a price because it really depends on the market price of the gold at that time. Um, you know, there'll be variations, but basically the labor and all that stuff is pretty much the same, no matter how you do it. And the fact that we're able to do one-offs is pretty rare for a production, company to be able to say, yeah, I can make one for you for an insanely inexpensive price. I don't think there's anybody else in the market who's actually doing that. So, I mean, that's a resource that you should look at. You should use. I've had, people, friends that I personally know, who've used it. Uh, we have lots of people who, I'm a jeweler, I have a thing, maybe I just need a little tag to put on my jewelry, or I have a piece that, I've fabricated, but I don't want to make, hundreds of them, because I need to put this on every piece of jewelry or whatever it is, we can do it. We're the guys. And we are the factory. There's no middleman. So it's not like we're taking your, design and then trying to farm it out to somebody. We're the people who do it. Um, so that's an awesome service that I really think more people uh, should take advantage of. Um, as far as the thing, I said that we'll do it in silver or gold, um, but we also can do plated. Rose gold plated, yellow gold plating. Obviously, the silver can be rhodium plated too, if you don't want to tarnish it quickly. But you can do a nice, an awesome, kind of vermeil like thing where we'll cast it in sterling and then rose gold plate it. Um, anyway, like that. And again, no minimum quantities. It's just crazy that we'll do one-offs. It always kind of blows me away how awesome that we're able to provide that service. Okay, I know I'm running really long. Holy crap! I'm way 26 minutes longer than I had scheduled for today. Again, make sure you take a minute to share this thing. Oh my God, move that thing around. Yikes. Um, right, get your free polishing cloth. Like and share, and make sure you're subscribed to, or not subscribed. I guess that's YouTube. Your like our channel so that you'll get automatically notified next time that we do a live stream, which we do every Wednesday morning, 10:30 Pacific time. So you can extrapolate that out to wherever you're watching from. I think that's it. Is there anything else you want me to think? No, I think we're good. Anybody? No. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching again. Sorry, ran long. I get pretty excited when I start talking about these things. But we'll see you next week. Thanks for coming to the SilviaFindings live stream on Facebook. Okay, bye. How do I stop this?